Hey everybody, welcome to our just-in-time Pokemon Go Hangout for the ISTE Games and Sim Network. With us we have Chris, we have our librarian, Christina Thones, who's studying the troll mill. Okay, okay, next we have Trish Cloud. And then a little bit later, we should be having Tanya Martin come in, and we should also have Cynthia Calgone coming in to also talk about this. But thank you so much for joining us. This is only an introduction and a resource. Look, this game is not even a week old, but everyone is playing it. Your students are playing it, and so is everyone else. So we'll try and cover some stuff. Now, this Hangout is brought to you by Inevitable Instructors and Education Gaming Guild. And no, this isn't a commercial. This is a thank you to say thank you to everybody from this guild who helps us out all the time with what ideas we should do, giving us resources, and coming on these Hangouts with us. And we are the ISTE Games and Sim Network. And we look at games, game-based learning, game design, game studies, gamification, and we've been looking at this for years, like over a decade. So, I'm going to turn it over to Chris now.
Sure. And while the game is new, Pokemon Go is new, it's definitely not a new genre. We've talked about AR a lot in the past. So, for example, Chris's Katrina Consulting for Business and Accounting. This is where I had students go out and work in the role of economic development consultants and going ahead and checking out restaurants. And everyone probably remembers lots of food pictures from that as well. So talking about the different types of costs and different pieces that are there. So those are some different, it's one of the things that we talked about. But of course, as always, there's more. But wait, there's more. I'll turn it back to Kay.
Okay, so basically what we want to say to everybody here is we know that there's some things going on the internet that are saying about Pokemon Go and education, making a little fun out of it. Well, look, those of us who are here, we were in Second Life. We know the hype cycle. We know Gardner's hype cycle. We know the trough of disillusionment. There's no question for us there. The reason we're looking at Pokemon Go is because of the interests of our students. It's the same reason we looked at Minecraft, okay? Our students will start to be pulling this through. And this is the first mobile augmented reality game where you looked at both virtual spaces and you also moved around in the real world. Okay, this is the first one that's going mainstream. So that when you talk about augmented reality, when you talk about mobile games, people are going to be able to understand it because of the popularity of this game. And so we just wanted to once again reiterate, I've been doing Project Outbreak since 2012, and that was I did a statewide grant with 2 microbiologists to develop a game-based learning where students ran around with mobile devices to go ahead and do a microbiology project. And we used Tag What then? The other thing about it is Tanya Martin, our professional development chair, she was doing this last year. She was talking about Ingress and doing all these great Ingress sessions with us. We had Cynthia Clark, an educator from Nevada, come and talk to Ingress with us. And Ingress is by the same company that does Pokemon Go. And all those portal and all the things you go, those Pokemon gyms, they're actually started out in Ingress. And this is all based out of Google Maps. So just want to let you know, we've been looking at this for a long time. Last year, the presenters we had came out of the Mobile Learning Network, and we have to say a big thank you to them. They collaborate with us all the time. We had Michael Flood, we had Laura Briggs, and we had the people from Games and Sims, and we've all been collaborating on mobile augmented reality games and how useful they can be for education. And in fact, this picture was from our game night at ISTE, and the picture up there, the reason why no one has a computer in their hand or a game in their hand is because Michael Flood was doing a beta of Pokemon Go, and we were all listening to him during the ISTE conference tell us about what was going to be opening up by July 7th, and we were all very excited about that, okay? So basically what I wanted to say, augmented reality apps been out there for a long time. We do want our students out there in the real world. We want seamless mobile learning. We do hope that this will be the future of education, and we get a lot of things have engaged students before. We're hoping the fact that parents see the engagement and more teachers see the engagement means more of this can go ahead and happen. Oh, and one last thing. Don't think that your students and these players are all that strange, okay? Because at the ISTE conference, you know, on June 27th, there was over 100 educators running all around Denver playing a mobile augmented reality game that was made from Click-a-Clue. And these are some of the groups. And they went out there and they were running just as fast and they were looking just as strange as the Pokemon Go players that you might be seeing now. So, guys, this is not new. We've been waiting for you. The Games and Sim Network has been waiting for the public to catch up. So let's do mobile. Let's do mobile games. And I just want to say, we are skeptical. We look at things all the time. And we don't exactly think that every product is great. And we'll see how Pokemon goes. We are always looking for the ludic fallacy, and looking at what the algorithm is, and if there's quantitative reasoning going in there, and if the quantitative reasoning is working out. And guess what? We don't think things are magical. They're only magical if you have the right teacher, you have the right students, and if the students are engaged in their learning. So with that, I'm going to turn it over so you can really talk about what you wanted to hear. Okay? And that's Pokemon Go.
So really quickly, what we're going to do is we have a couple players with us, and what we'll do is we're going to go over quickly what is Pokemon Go. For anyone who's unsure what it is, we'll talk about how to play. Well, then we'll go ahead and turn over to lots of resources, some thoughts. Also, I see a lot of people are there on the Padlet. So this is Chris talking. So feel free to ask us questions there, and we're more than happy to go ahead and turn them over to the panelists to answer your questions that you have. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. So, hi, Lear. How's it going? Cynthia's joined us. So what is Pokemon Go? It's, as we talked about before, it's an augmented reality game. It uses Ingress as a base map, so if you're an Ingress player, you'll see a lot of commonality there. The other thing you'll see is that there's lots of Pokemon characters, lore, and play style. So there's lots of commonalities for if you played Pokemon before, you'll see a lot of commonalities in this game as well. And so I'll go ahead and I will turn it over to Trish to talk about how to play.
Hi there. Okay, first off, it's very simple. It is a free app. They get you with in-game purchases, but that's the way most mobile games are going these days. Just go to your App Store, your Android store, and download the app. And once you have downloaded the app, you can start playing. It will ask you to enter your birth date. I've not entered a birth date that was under the age of 14, so I don't know if there is a permission screen that comes up. I entered my birth date, which is quite a bit over 14, so I'm wondering, that would be a question, but I do know that I've had many parents who have already asked me questions about their children playing this game and playing Pokemon out in the wider world. And I imagine that it must be something okay because the parents are letting their kids download it. Then you can sign in if you have a Pokemon Trainer Club account. You can sign in with that, or you can sign in with Google. Here are their terms of service, and you can read those and then click accept. And then you get your warning screen. This is there every time you go into the game. You see this screen. It says, it will tell you that it's locating your GPS signal. It asks for permission for your GPS signal, and then it tells you that it's loading. And it says, remember to be alert at all times. Stay aware of your surroundings. This is not a suggestion. This is something you should be doing because you need to be aware of where you are. That's just what you're taught from the time you're a small child. You need to be aware of where you are. Then you meet Professor Willow, and Professor Willow will walk you through capturing your first Pokemon. So the next thing you'll do is you'll select your avatar, male or female, and then you get a limited array of the same outfit in different colors and different colored hair and eyes. So you can pick what you want to look like, but trust me, you're going to look like everybody else in the game. And then as soon as you spawn, you'll find that it shows you right at your house. But as soon as you do that, you're going to notice that you have a Squirtle, a Charmander, and he's a little turtle guy. And the three of them will spawn near you. And if you tap on one of them, it will sort of radiate little lines out from it. And then if you hold your phone up, you'll get an ask for the permission to access your camera. And so you access your camera and you will see the Pokemon there in your living room or beside you or wherever, right there in your house. And you're like, oh, isn't it cute? And then you see the little Pokeball, and the professor has told you he's given you several Pokeballs to get you started. And you take your finger and put it on the Pokeball, and there's a circle around, like you see the picture of Magmar there. There's a circle around him, and there's a green circle in the center. And you move the Pokeball up to the center of the circle, and then you kind of flick it with your finger to toss it. If it's not just right, you'll see it bounce near the creature and roll away. I've had that happen many times. But then if you get it just right, you'll see a flash of light, and it'll say, you caught him. You'll say, gotcha. And once you've done that, he goes into your Pokédex, and then the professor will walk you through selecting a username, and it's going to have to be something unique because there's so many people in the world. I think I went through about 12 names before I finally got one that no one else had. And then you can start going out and searching for your Pokemon. Now today I read an article about how to capture a Pikachu. And so this was my success story for the day. And so I just created a new account, and I went out and I captured a Pikachu. So all I have right now is a Pikachu just because it's a Pikachu. So there you go. Now you are official Pokemon hunter.
I'd like to jump in a little bit right here. Looking at this slide where you see the Magmar, also on the right-hand side you can see a camera button, and this is one of my favorite things, is that you can take a picture of the Pokemon that's in the environment that you're in. So I've taken many pictures of Pokemon on my kitchen counter, on my couch, in front of my house, around town. So that's just one of the fun things for me, because I just like that idea of the Pokemon running around the world.
And Cam, I think that you're probably our highest player, aren't you? Because what's your level?
I got up to level 7 today.
Ooh.
So
I
also
think
walked over 3 kilometers. I did go out in the heat today. It was a little bit crazy.
And Cam, we're just getting a little thing mechanical from your mic at the moment. So I just wanted to let you be aware of that, and let the other people be aware of that also. So, Cam, what are you going to tell us about Pokemon?
So one of the things that you get as you're going around to different Pokestops is that you can collect different items. So you have the Pokeballs to catch the Pokemon in, but you also can get things like incense. And if you use one of your incense, it will lure Pokemon to you. And so I caught kind of a more unusual Pokemon today. I'm bad with the names, an executor or something like that. And because I used the incense. And that, on the screen, you can see a little pink kind of cloud around the character player, and that's the incense that is attracting.
Yeah, and that was really interesting because I think we were reading up on it, right? That the incense is something that you personally get, and that's and it's kind of like your own personal perfume that no one but that no one else can smell, right? And that so that you can attract more over, correct?
Yes. And I think we're going to get a little bit more into Pokestops. But I do want to mention, so there's another type of thing called a lure that people can set on a Pokestop. And the folks in my downtown area where I've been playing have been placing one pretty regularly on one of the Pokestops. And everybody kind of knows it's there. So you go by on your walk and you pick up whatever Pokemon you can find in that area, and then you walk away and search for some more, and then you come back again.
And
So
and
that's
that's
been interesting how the community has gotten together and it's working together already to help each other.
and that's something that I really saw about the Pokemon that was maybe unexpected. The community building. I'm reading about firehouses saying that they should use this as a way for public education. I've seen a blog from a library saying, okay, how to how to set up lures so that you can get people to come to your library. And then there was this great blog from someone who does social media associated with colleges and advising and student affairs, and they started reporting on all the things that are happening at college campuses and things being set up by clubs and stuff like that. So I think you're right. I think that this can be a great attention builder and maybe engagement for the community.
I know our library posted on Facebook that they were, saying, yes, we are a Pokestop. Yes, come on by and catch your Pokemon. And they posted pictures of Pokemon in the library shelves. Having been an Ingress player, I wasn't expecting the whole indoor Pokemon thing because Ingress, you're much more outdoors. And certainly for Pokemon, you do too. But you also can find them when you are indoors. The other community thing I noticed was that our Citizen Center has put a charging strip out, and that's the area where people have been putting the lure, so people can charge their phones while they're out playing in this public area, and that's huge because it really eats up your battery.
Yeah, and that's such a nice thing to be cognizant of the fact that people visiting you that their batteries will be low, and and so to go put that out, that is a great public service and make people feel warm about whatever your institution is. I think that's a great idea.
And I've heard of small businesses doing the same thing that are near Pokestops, and they put on the lures, and they're also letting people know that they can come in to charge.
Yeah, that I can see that as being very useful for everyone.
Right. I think our next slide is about the Poke Journal. So this is where you can tap on the little picture of your face down on your regular screen, and it's going to let you know what level you're at and your experience points. And on that home screen, you also can scroll down and see which Pokemon you've caught lately and what Pokestops you've stopped at. So it just helps you keep track. Another option when you tap on your Pokeball on the main screen is to see your Pokédex, and that will show which Pokemon you've caught already, and it's got the numbers for all the ones you need to do still, so that's a real incentive as you see all these empty slots still where you need to find them. You've got to catch them all, right?
No, this is and quite honestly, this looks like the self-quantification, that you see in Fitbit, and also that you see in just about every commercial game that's like a a multiplayer game, that you have something where you can have your achievements and where you know what levels you're at. And I think that this is a big thing to point out, that this part of the game design is different than what we see with a lot of, say, the augmented reality apps where you go out and you do a scavenger hunt and things like this. This really lets you know that you can that this is your this is your character, and that you can level your character and gives you achievements and accomplishments to do along the way.
We don't have screenshots of this, I don't think, but there's two other buttons on when you tap on the Pokeball on your home screen. The Pokédex is one, but also there's a button that just says Pokemon, and that will actually show all the Pokemon you've caught, including like if you've caught 6 different Rattatas, or however you pronounce them, or
Oh,
6 different Pidgeys, all those individual ones, and you can look at their power level, and they have all their stats. It tells how much they weigh and how tall they are, and I thought it would be really cool to have kids actually look at the measurements. So if I have a Pokemon that's 0.31 meters tall, well, how tall is that? Anyway, I just wanted to mention that it does show like all the individual ones that you have caught.
and that's great with the heights and the weights and stuff like that. And I will say I've seen something in like tweet that it's a way to that Pokemon is a subtle way to teach Americans how to use the metric system.
Yes. So Pokestops, we've mentioned these a couple of times. So as was said before, Pokemon Go is built on the kind of geographical framework that was put down with the Ingress portals. The Ingress portals were all like historical markers, churches, post offices, and they've used many of those locations for Pokestops. And at this Pokestop, you can tap on it and collect more Pokeballs and some other resources that you may need. In this third screenshot, you can see 3 Pokeballs and then an egg. And the eggs we're going to talk about in a bit too. But you definitely want to run around to the Pokestops and hit them up to get Pokeballs because you will run out.
Yeah, and like you said, for any Ingress players, they know this already. They know where to go. So if you really want to run around with somebody who knows the area already, find out who the Ingress players are because they will know those spots.
All right. Now you'll see small, like on this screenshot, you can see small blue markers, and that's where the Pokestops are. And then this bigger thing right in the lower middle is a Pokemon gym.
Okay.
And this is something that can be captured, and you can, and there will be trainers will put their Pokemon there to kind of own the gym, to claim the gym, and they are ready to battle anyone who comes after them. You won't be able to really, you'll see that they're there, but you won't be able to see who has captured them really until you're level 5. You won't be able to see the Pokemon that are sitting there ready to battle.
And this is really where the player versus player aspect of the game comes in, right?
Yes. So what you can do if you are level 5 is you can go to a gym, and if it's the first time you go to a gym, Professor Willow will guide you through choosing a team. And you can choose red, yellow, or blue. And those are Team Valor, Team Instinct, and Team Mystic, and they each have different qualities that you might consider. And the leaders of each of those teams explains that a little bit. And you can also
that's fun.
Find that kind of information online ahead of time too, so you can think about it. So if the gym is held by a different team than you are on, then you can battle the Pokemon that are there and try to lower the prestige of the gym. It will show you a numerical ranking of how much prestige it has, and you can try to battle. And the way you battle, because we didn't realize this at first when we went out to try, is you just tap on the opposing Pokemon with your finger as fast as you can, and that is your Pokemon attacking them. You can also, if a gym is owned by your same team, you can go and battle the Pokemon that are there just for the experience. And I think that if you beat one, then you can put one of your Pokemon at that gym in place of another trainer's Pokemon.
Okay.
And you can actually do a little battling whether it's owned by your team or not.
Oh, great! And you're sounding really good now.
Oh, good. I closed down some other windows, so I apologize for the technical difficulties. I want to mention something else that I learned because I was going out with some friends, and we were both, my Pokemon at the time were pretty low, so I didn't have any expectation of winning a battle. But my friend and I were both attacking at the same time, and you could actually see when you're having the battle, if you see in this picture that there's kind of a ring that those Pokemon are sitting on, well, that expands, and you can see the opposing Pokemon, and I could see another Pokemon around the other side of that ring that I think was also attacking, although it possibly could have been just another one on the opposing team. I'm not sure, but you could actually see that. Also, one thing that's cool is when you're away from a gym, but you can see it on your screen, if there's a battle going on, you will see little bursts of flame and clouds that you can see that a battle is happening. It's very cool. It's very cool. So that's what I've learned about the Pokemon gym so far.
Okay, so who's talking about eggs?
It looks like I can continue because it looks like we still don't have grid. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that sometimes when you go to a Pokestop and you collect gear, one of the things you get are eggs, and you do have to incubate them. I believe that when I started, I had an incubator, so I think you get one at the beginning. And so you select an egg and you tell it to put it into the incubator, and then it will tell you how many kilometers you have to walk. So in this example that we have, it shows on the top row that those are all 5-kilometer eggs. And then the second row, there's like a 2-kilometer and a 5 and a 10. So that will vary. And what I found is that the 2-kilometer ones gave me really small, uninteresting, common Pokemon. But when I did one today that was 5 kilometers, I got a really cool one and made my friend very jealous because it was one that she really wanted.
And I will have to say that we have to say a shout out to one of our people, Roger Lowe, who shared with us today. It seems that if you put your, and this is awful, but it seems like if you put your mobile phone on a ceiling fan and let it there, you can get an egg. The spinning around will go ahead and make it so that it looks like you've walked that many kilometers.
I have another cheat, and I saw an
article what's the cheat?
That said it wouldn't work, but somehow it did. And I didn't mean to. I did walk my 3 kilometers today, honestly. But then I was driving around. My husband was driving, and I was riding in the car, and we were going through some parking lots and things. And by the time I got home, my 5-kilometer egg had hatched. And I was like, oh, I didn't mean to ride around in the car and get that per kilometerage, I guess. But yeah, so that happened.
So yes, and I'm assuming someone on a bike, it wouldn't be a problem. I heard that it was under 20 miles an hour. Does it seem like that?
Yeah, probably, because we were going through a pretty large parking lot pretty slow. We were saying, wait, we know there's one close by. We know there's one close by. Right, what's next?
Okay, so Chris is going to take over.
No, actually, I just had a comment. I was reading an article from CNN, and they actually showed that the searches for how many miles are in a kilometer on Google have spiked in the last week. As people are looking up how to do metric conversion from kilometers to miles.
Okay, so who's doing candies, stardust, and potions?
I can keep going with this.
Okay.
So when you tap on an individual Pokemon that you have, like this example of the Pikachu, you can see its combat power at the top is 11, and you can increase that by feeding it candy. If you look in the kind of the lower part of that screen, it says power up, 200 Stardust, 1 Pikachu candy. So where do you get that from? Well, every time you catch a Pokemon, you get some of that. But also, if you decide that you have too many Rattatas, because that's so common in my area, you can transfer them to Professor Willow. Right now, you can't trade them to other players, although I understand that's coming.
Yeah.
But you can transfer them to Professor Willow, and then you will get more of the candy for that type. And then the bottom button is to evolve your Pokemon to the next form that it might have, and that usually costs a bunch of candy that you have to have. So you have to get that by either catching this Pokemon, by transferring them, or you could spend real money for it. But I think that's cheap.
Yeah, and it's gonna get interesting when the trading starts happening. Okay, so now we're gonna go on to the part that's really the discussion part about education. So to get everybody started.
Actually, it's funny. I just received a text from one of our friends, and they're watching us, and they let us know that their son is actually right now in the park walking to hatch his eggs for Pokemon.
Okay, so you have a little bit of an overview, and come on, it's 6 days in. What you do like a month or two from now, I'm sure there'll be shortcuts and cheats and things like that, and we can always come back and do that now. But you as an educator, what should I be reading or what should I be looking at right now? And when it comes to that, we're just going to go ahead and we have some ideas about what we think might work. We've been going ahead and curating this and collecting it. And if you are writing a blog about this, please send it to us, ISTE Games and Sims Network, or come into our document and just leave it on the side in comments, and then we'll add it on. So here's the thing. We do a metagame book club, so we talk about everything that happens about games that happens outside the games and helps you be better at the games. So for us, these are great metagame examples. So this first one coming up is PokeBlitz, and I don't know if anyone saw this yet. And Trish, if you want to come on, because I see you're putting some comments right now, if you want to come on and let us know that, please go ahead and do. Come on, Mike.
Yes, I was just noticing that I read today that it is now considered, I mean, it's only been out for 6 days, and it's already the most popular downloaded game in U.S. history. I mean, it's just crazy how popular this thing has gotten. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that it appeals to adults as well as children. And it has a lot of adults acting like children. But it's cute because I see and it's so funny. I know some teenagers from my church, and one of them kept saying, "I'm not going to play it. I'm not going to play it. You are acting silly. I'm not going to play it." And his dad started saying, "Resistance is futile, Matt. You will be assimilated." And tonight, Matt's on there going, "It's so much fun." So he started playing it, and it's I've been seeing articles about it all the time, and some of them are satirical, and some of them are poking fun at all the people who are walking into places they have no business walking into, and it's just it's kind of amusing to watch it happen, but it's also funny to participate at the same time.
Okay, we have a question or comment. Here it says, "Hello, I'm a middle school student from Massachusetts, and I personally do not believe you should use Pokemon Go as a learning resource. For me and a lot of other kids, usually in middle school, Pokemon Go is a fun game that we play. And personally, to have that fun game that is sweeping the nation for kids and young adults alike to be used for education would lose the fun and entertainment the game also has." Okay, here's the deal. Student from a middle school in Massachusetts. Quite honestly, that's not my goal. My goal is to get all the educators out there to understand that mobile games are fun, that learning happens there, and that they can design their own mobile games or use augmented reality apps to design things. Okay? So for me, I don't want every teacher in the world to go out and to use this for their class. I want them to look at it. I want them to see the engagement. I want them to see the motivation. I want them to see the interesting things that are happening and understand that education and school can be different. We're the ISTE Games and Simulations Network, and it's our whole purpose. Our whole purpose is that we feel that school can be more engaging. We feel that if a commercial off-the-shelf game like Minecraft can be used in the classroom and students can have fun, then perhaps Pokemon can be too. But ultimately, our goal is to use games and simulations to teach, because we think deeper learning can happen in an authentic environment that can be developed. So don't worry, not every teacher is going to want to do that. And quite honestly, we're going to go on to an example right now of PokeBlitz that we think is part of the metagame that won't necessarily hit upon your fun and joy when it comes to playing this. So anybody else want to respond to that comment? And Chris, you can go back to the next slide. I'm still on that next slide.
I wanted to tell him that, first off, any teacher who's worth their salt as a gamer is going to play the game a lot before they try to adapt it to any type of educational thing. Like, I played a lot of Minecraft before I started using Minecraft with my students, and I don't believe that I have sucked any of the fun out of Minecraft for my kids at my school. They all constantly want to come to my class and do the projects that I have for them to do, because I leave the game alone and just sort of layer the learning on top of it. So I think if you give some teachers who've got some gaming chops the benefit of the doubt, I think you might find that they might surprise you with how well they could get you in an attitude of learning while you're playing the game. I know it's happened with World of Warcraft in school, and I also know that it's happened with Portal 2 in school. And I don't believe either of those games have been ruined.
And the next thing I would say, look, Pokemon Go, play it all you want. It's helping train you so that when you're in the classroom and I say, we're going to go and do an augmented reality tour, you already know how to use your phone, you know how to pull it up, and I know that you know how to do that. So for me, I am fine with not using it, but I will use some of the elements from it in helping with seamless mobile learning in other aspects. Okay, so we'll get back to the metagame that's now happening. If you go onto Twitter, and just go into Twitter and go and search, or if you're using something like TweetDeck or Hootsuite or something like that, go ahead and put in the hashtag PokeBlitz. This is part of the metagame that's happening alongside and outside of the game. So let me tell you about Pokemon Blitz. And this is really for people who are teaching science, but I'm sure some of the other teachers can think of other ways to use it. Basically, Morgan Jackson, and he is at the University of Godolph, and that's in Canada. And what he has been doing is he's been doing a bio chat for a number of years, called a podcast called Breaking Bio. And Breaking Bio has been trying to get more people to do citizen science. So go out there, look at things, take pictures, tweet, and things like that. Oh, I'm sorry, go back one, please. So the thing about it is that what's been happening, and is there another slide with some Twitter on there, Chris, or no? Okay, so what's been happening is that if you go and look at the PokeBlitz, what's been happening is that these biologists have been asking people when they're going and playing Pokemon Go, if they see a real-life animal or a real-life plant that they can't identify, it's been asking them to go ahead and take a picture and to go ahead and tweet this out. And what's been happening is these biologists have then been coming back. They do a little quote around Twitter, and they've been telling people what the species is. And if you go on Twitter and take a look at this, this is one of the outside things that aren't actually part of the game that's been happening. And for me, this is one of the best examples. Oh, and we have the slide right here. So what Morgan Jackson did on Sunday was basically sent out this tweet. I have no idea if this will work, but does anyone want to help? get people looking at plants and animals. Okay, so the next thing, so what I'm saying is any science teacher out there, any biology teacher, go ahead and take a look at this. And maybe, maybe this won't last until the start of the fall semester for, for teachers and students in the U.S., but this is really freaking awesome education that's happening alongside of a game. This is great involvement. And even if this only lasts a week, think of the possibilities with this. And then you can start thinking about maybe there's something else that could go along with this. The next thing that I would suggest that you take a look at reading is PokeGo, What Education Should Be. This is written by Lori Gracie. She wrote it yesterday. And I have to say a shout out to Lori Gracie. She was at the ISTE conference in Denver. In fact, she is the person who found my laptop when I left it in a room. So I have to say a real thank you to her for doing that. But she wrote a really great blog and about what the possibilities are if you think about all the different design elements of Pokemon Go and how you would bring that into education. And this goes back to our middle schooler who's saying, hey, hands off the Pokemon Go. I don't want you ruining it for me. Well, we're going to learn from Pokemon Go. And what she did was, she's from the Texas Computer Educators Association, and she went through a lot of the different ways that you can go ahead and look at this for education and what other aspects that you could pull out of it. And I would have to say, much like Minecraft, Pokemon Go can also be a content area in the fact that you could go ahead and have your students write about Pokemon Go, even if you weren't having them play it. They could do podcasts about Pokemon Go or use it in other different and interesting ways. Now, the next one is 14 Reasons Why Pokemon Go is the Future of Learning. This is a thought piece, okay? I would say go ahead and take a look at it. See what you think. He talks about social media. He talks about how Ingress was the start of this. He talks about augmented reality. And he's done a really good job of laying this out with great screenshots, with cute videos, and also talking about it, how we as educators should be looking at things like this to bring into the classroom. And when I say things like this, again, the design elements of Pokemon Go, not necessarily Pokemon Go, unless that works for your curriculum and what you're doing. And then this, I would suggest taking a look at also 10 ways to use Pokemon Go on campus. If you are with a library, if you are with a community center, if you are with a campus, okay, Cassandra does a really good job of looking at all the ways you could get students involved in extracurricular activities using Pokemon Go. And she talks about setting up lures, she talks about different teams and different battles, she talks about getting people to come to advising and things like this. So I would suggest if you're doing something like with after-school clubs or you're doing some kind of camp this summer to go ahead and take a look at everything that she's doing there. Okay, so we'll be tweeting this out from the ISTE Games and Sims Network. We'll be using the hashtag GBL and the hashtag MLearning for mobile learning. So we'll also be putting the Pokemon Go into it. And we also started doing some resources. And this is our URL for it. It's really easy. It's a bit.ly. It says Pokemon Go Intro. And I will screen share so that you will take a look at it. So it's basically a Google document, and you can just put comments on the side. Now, if you can see at the top of this document, there's about 7 people in this document. It's kind of been like that all day. And what we've been doing, we don't put every article we find. We don't put up every blog post we find. What we put up are the ones that seem to make sense. So the posts that reference education. So the ones that we mentioned, the one by Lori Gracie is here. The one on the 10 ways to use Pokemon, 14 reasons why Pokemon Go is the future of learning. We've put that there. We've put some parents' guides out there. We've put, we have one, and this is written by a teen librarian about how to use it. Pokemon Go and fire departments are talking about how you go ahead and use it for community building. We have everything on the science and biodiversity that we found so far. All the stuff about all the information there about PokeBlitz. We have there's been questions about privacy. We've been putting some links there. We've put up some posts that are critical to it. We've put Pokemon Go and safety, and then some things we've been seeing on augmented reality and other games that are similar to Pokemon Go. So with this, go ahead and use this as a resource. We've opened up comments for people, so you can go ahead and put comments there, and we can go ahead and add things. So we're getting to about the end of this. So basically, we'd like to go with some parting thoughts. So Chris, why don't we start with you in parting thoughts?
Sure. I mean, for me, I echo a lot of what we already talked about, especially for this as a gateway or a way to sort of get instructors and faculty thinking about how they might go ahead and change the way they deliver content to their students, and especially for those classes that are very geolocated. We had some comments on the Padlet talking about doing something similar in chemistry, where they're basically taking students who are taking images and Instagramming images in the classroom about different things that had to do with chemistry, or sorry, that embodied chemistry with a hashtag in Instagram. So there's lots of different ideas out there to use this type of technology that sort of lets the students explore the physical environment. And I'm a very big proponent of experiential learning, as well as epistemic frame, which is basically teaching people to act as if they're working in the job they're training for. And I really think that that's one of the ways that we can really change the way we go ahead and deliver the content and deliver educational content, because we're always looking at a way to make it more engaging, more interactive. And so this is I look at Pokemon Go as definitely an idea generation tool for us to go ahead and extend on. So I'm really excited to see so many comments in the Padlet, and so please keep on putting your comments there. The Padlet will be up indefinitely, and we'll actually attach the Padlet to the Google Doc as well when we're done, so that way, and the YouTube video archive. So anybody who's watching it later on can come back to the Padlet and read through it.
Christina, Trish, parting thoughts.
Yeah, the thing that I've thought about the most is I remember several years ago when Erasmus came out, and how glitchy it was, and I'm thinking how far augmented reality has just come in the last 3 or 4 years. And I'm just thinking of so many different ways now that our phones and the way augmented reality works, and this is showing us the possibilities that are there. Like you said, not necessarily using Pokemon Go, but using augmented reality to take the dryness out of history, or take the blah out of chemistry, or and just the whole biodiversity thing. So I just kind of excited, just trying to think of the different ways that it can be used. And before I leave, I'll show you my Pikachu.
For me, I completely agree that this, like any successful game, provides a great model for educators, that we should really take a look at what is it that makes this so engaging and makes kids want to spend, and adults like me, hours of our time going around and collecting these things and learning about the game. So definitely we should look at the elements of it and see, how could we implement that in education. And I think that for some teachers who may not be familiar at all with augmented reality, because this has become so widespread and part of mainstream media right now, that this could be a way to help teachers understand that whole idea of going around the real world and using your device to find treasures there. And then finally, I was also thinking about how kids are developing schema as they're playing. This whole idea of the different types of Pokemon are a whole taxonomy, and the idea that there are certain kinds of Pokemon in certain places. That if teachers could use that to connect to mostly biology type topics, that their kids have all this knowledge, and if teachers could just connect what they're trying to teach them to that prior knowledge and that experience that these kids are having, that could be really valuable.
Okay, so we've had a question here. It says, we've highlighted a lot of educators that are using AR in their classes, and can we get these resources? We'll add them to the Padlet. Like I said, we've been doing this for a while now, and in fact, we even had, we just did this for the ISTE conference, and like we said, we had over 100 educators running around with their phones, and what we used was click a clue, and to get you get a clue, and then the picture you take has to be identical to the picture that's already been submitted for the quest or the hunt. And because of that, it makes it it makes it really interesting that you have to figure out what that clue indeed is. So I guess for my parting thought, I went ahead and I put this one up, and anybody who wants to can go ahead and comment on this. And it is, what is digital literacy? What is digital literacy in 2016? And Brian Alexander went and put this up. And this is what they're putting it as. And I was just trying to, and I'd like to hear everybody else's opinion, but trying to figure out where exactly playing a mobile augmented game and looking at your phone and walking at the same time without tripping, where exactly that would come in, do you think, when it comes to new digital literacy?
Well,
and that was partly a joke, but partly not.
well, the thing is up until now, I think it's becoming more in the forefront now because we've heard about the kid who rode his bicycle into a tree. We've heard the stories of people wandering into places and how museums have had to close their doors because they don't want people walking into the museums. I think that there has to be added somewhere in there, because I know when I teach digital citizenship to my children at school, there is a whole there's a whole section it's in Digital Passport that's put out by Common Sense, and it's called Twalkers, and it's all about learning how to handle using mobile devices in a responsible way. And one of the things they talk about is not being aware of your surroundings, and if you're talking or texting or whatever you're doing, you need to be aware of your surroundings. And they, of course, suggest that you don't talk on your phone and walk, or you don't tweet and walk, or you don't text and walk, because they ultimately are going for keeping kids the safest. But telling people that is like saying don't eat refined sugar to some people. They're going to do it anyway. So at some point there has to be some voices crying out in the wilderness or something, screaming, pay attention to your surroundings, because obviously the loading screen of Pokemon Go is not registering with a lot of people right now. And it's just using common sense, because just because it's a game doesn't mean that everybody is going to treat it like a game. So I think common sense is one of the biggest bywords right now.
Well, I think the other piece to it is that the things that people have brought up with people walking into things while staring at their phone is not limited to Pokemon Go. We've all seen the YouTube videos of people walking into poles, people taking a long walk off a short pier because they're trying to get a picture that's going on. We've had some tragedies where people were trying to take selfies and got too close to the edge of a canyon. There's lots of different things that are out there, and so I think it's part of having to get used to this environment is that as Kay said, is it a new digital literacy? Either way, it's the ability to navigate multiple mediums, whether it is real life navigation, whether it is knowing when to look at your phone and when not to. We have a lot of laws out there regarding use of phone when driving. So there's lots of different things that are out there, and I think that it's something that we just haven't gotten used to yet, having the device that's that easy, and we haven't gotten easy to how portable the information is, and we're able to get it, as how easy we're able to get it through our phones. And as the technology keeps increasing, as we keep going through, I think that we're going to develop that skill set. As far as whether it's ever going to make itself into a common core curriculum or a state competency for a mobile user group, I don't think it is. I think it's going to end up being sort of a Darwinian mechanism, maybe. That's going to come out, but it is something that people have to be aware of. It's sort of very similar to internet safety, how kids are keeping themselves, how to keep yourself safe when you're using the internet. Don't give out too much information. Well, make sure you're not looking at learning how to walk in a straight line while looking at your phone is a skill set. Maybe not bumping into people is a digital citizenship piece. So there's just one of those things where we just have to get used to that environment, or we have to have some sort of change to the technology where the peripheral is one where we have that allows us to have better line of sight for what we're doing. When you look at most humans, we didn't evolve to look down.
Hi.
Hey, there's Cynthia. Jump on in.
and it looks like they're muted. so we'll continue on and see if they can jump on.
Sorry, Kay, I couldn't hear you. Sorry, I'm still at the symposium, and I just had an event, so I'm so sorry I lost you guys while I was presenting.
No, we understand.
Now, the student who was with me had to go because he had a class, but and you have to realize our students fly in and they're in classes from like early in the morning till late at night. Even social is class. So it just happens to be a fun one. So that's what we're doing. But yeah, he was saying he plays in the airports. He has a complete collection of Pokemon, I guess 151 of them from the old days, and he has the stuff. So he's part of that culture, and he just loves the game. He finds it very powerful. He plays everywhere. He played in the airport and here, etc. And so he was demonstrating it, and the research uses for it for the folks at the table with me. So that was pretty cool. Yeah. So what are you guys talking about?
Well, we're kind of wrapping up, and what we pulled up, and you might find this interesting, Brian Alexander just put out a survey on what the new digital literacy is going to be, and he's doing the research with NMC on this, and so we have the screen of that up there. So we were just pondering if mobile devices and augmented reality make it into education and make it into our lives, what literacy do you think we would need to be able to walk around with a mobile device? looking at it and using augmented reality all the time. What would we need to know how to do that we don't right now?
Part of it is an awareness of what others are seeing as well as what we're seeing. Like right now, I know I have the camera on, and you guys can see me, but it's probably up the nose or
no,
perhaps not.
It's your eyes and above.
That's good.
Yes.
So it's this notion of the inside out is what I like to think of it as, so that we feel comfortable with what we're broadcasting, so that we feel comfortable with what we're receiving. Right? So we feel a sense of a locus of control, we call it, where we feel confidence. We don't have to read manuals or do any arcane steps to learn how to use it. It feels natural and organic, right? Part of our normal process. Just like for me to join this session, the phone rang, right? And all I had to do was answer, give permission, and boom, I'm in. So having tools like that is very, very powerful. If all of our stuff worked like that, where it let us know when things were important, it drew us into the conversation if we were cognitively able to participate, if the augmented reality around our bodies wasn't startling but was relevant and meaningful and exciting or intriguing, right? Surprising, something that stimulates us to doing new things. Now, one thing I would like to see, similar to the Leap Motion or one of these gesture-based recognition services, is the ability to touch out into the space and have it recognize my 3D location and let me interact with things hands-free without having a controller or a device, without having to tap around on the phone to find the microphone symbol, that kind of thing. I think more of those kinds of affordances would strengthen the experience.
Oh, I can't wait for those, because yes, getting you in would be so easy if we could do it that way. So we're about ready to wrap up.
Sounds good.
So we want to thank everybody, especially inevitable instructors, educators, Gaming Guild, for all the help that they give us in doing all this research. And then we're the ISTE Games and Simulations Network, and these are part of our big five, what we look at: games, game-based learning, game design, game studies, and gamification. We'll be doing more just-in-time hangouts like this one, and also Tanya Martin will be organizing a Pokémon Go and Back to School panel for us, and that will be in August. So we'll keep learning and doing things, and we'll even have more to report out. And in this fall, we'll be making videos with games, and we'll be participating in an interactive fiction fest. So on behalf of everybody, thank you very much for watching. Go ahead, have fun. If you tweet things out, use GBL for the game-based learning hashtag, the other hashtag Pokemon Go, and like we were talking about, the PokeBlitz is a great metagame way of bringing science into a game like this. So, want to thank everybody, and we will stop broadcasting now. So thank you very much. Bye.